What's good? What's good? What's good? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans Sunday Special Podcast. Give yourself a give yourself a round of applause for waking up. Is it early on the West Coast? It's noon out here. It's midday.
It's 10 o'clock here, Pacific Standard Time.
I mean, but is that early? Is that if people aren't just getting out of bed? I know it's before church, but people ain't just getting out of bed. Um, it's brisk out here, buddy. Last week it was 60 degrees. Just not even last week, a few days ago, it was 60 degrees. It's a brisk 41 degrees right now. I can tell you that. It's a little chilly out there. What you guys got going on up there?
We got a moderate 47, a little drizzle. Pretty typical for mid to late February.
Well, yeah, you can keep the drizzle. What up, Lee? Thanks for tuning in, big dog. Appreciate having you. Yeah, you can keep the drizzle. You can keep the drizzle. So as we know, it's wintertime around the country for the most of us. And every February it's typically not right after the Super Bowl, but because the Super Bowl has been pushed back into February, now it's right a week after we have the NBA All-Star weekend, which again is usually mid-February, but the Super Bowl and the NFL just keep pushing their season further back. I mean, I don't know why they don't move it up. So we started either on Labor Day. Is it Labor Day in September? Yeah. Or that Labor Day weekend, like it used to start the first weekend in September. I guess they want to give it the Labor Day weekend and then start it the next weekend, whatever the reason is. They keep pushing it back. But now we're right up against it. 1 week after the Super Bowl, we get the NBA All-Star Weekend, Cleveland. And we're going to talk this heavy NBA All-Star Weekend, fans. Thank you guys again for tuning in. If you got something to say, chime in. Voice of the @_Voice of the Fans on Twitter, @_Voice of the Fans on Twitter. You can hit us up. You can also hit us up on the chat. However you're listening to us, HMB Media on YouTube. If you're watching us, looking at watching the show that way, you can hit us up in the chat there, or Voice of the Fans on YouTube Media. You can, Voice of the Fans on YouTube. You can hit us up in the chat there. We'll get it either way. Again, thank you guys for chiming in, and we want to hear your feedback because I got some questions, Cleveland. This weekend we had on Friday night they had the Rising Stars games with the sophomores versus the rookies. They had the 3 teams that competed against each other. I'm not sure how I like that format, but it was competitive. I guess it added for some competition because they all played 15 or 20-minute quarter, I think they played, and then the winning team was A and B played, and then they each had the winner of those games had a little finish the night off with a little championship game, if you will. Team Jalen won. What did you think of this that format, and did you watch any of the Rising Stars?
I watched a little bit of the Rising Stars. I saw Benedict Mathurin kind of get his I don't want to say just due, but certainly showed out in his hometown. So that was cool for him. Congratulations for getting that. The team thing was so. I mean, it's you're always looking for new ideas and fresh content. So kind of throwing that in there to kind of see what's what was it's all right. I'm okay with it. Not enamored with it. It's not something I'm gonna eagerly anticipate next year, but at the same time, it was cool.
I think I like in that situation, those guys are looking for. They're still trying to make their shine. The rookies are with the second year players. They're still trying to make their shine. So they come into the game with some competitive spirit. They're actually playing to compete. So I think a full game is okay. Just a regular, 48-minute game is okay because they're still trying. If you know what I mean, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, haven't made their name just yet. So this is an opportunity to get out there in the spotlight.
Yeah, so I like just give me a game. Just give me a game and let these guys run and let's see what happens. How the game develops. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and obviously who shows up in crunch time. I like that opportunity better than if you played 8 minutes or what did they? I think they played it to a final score and then moved on. But either way, I want to see I want to see the fourth quarter action. I want to see how they perform in fourth quarter, and you can't imitate fourth quarter action. It has to be the fourth quarter for you to see that. Yeah. So the way they played, like I say, Team Jalen won. That was kind of interesting. Moving on to Saturday. First of all, let's go back to the court on Friday night. Like the court probably was all-star the whole weekend. What do you think about the court?
Yeah, that was cool. They did a great job of being innovative and kind of cutting edge with regards to kind of how it looked. It definitely added to the mystique of the game, I thought.
Yeah, I thought there were some times that I think they could use the court a little bit more in a different fashion. And we'll get to it. I'll bring it up a little later, but there were some times I think there's some missed opportunities. But I haven't watched the full hockey game, but from what I know, the LED ice is what the Seattle Kraken came in using, and they caught a lot of attention with the Kraken. Is that how they do the little graphics that they do there?
The games that I've been to, I haven't seen that. So that's interesting that you said that. I wasn't aware that they were big on that.
Who came in with the Kraken? It wasn't the Las Vegas team. They didn't come in the same year, did they?
No, Vegas was several years before the Kraken. The Kraken came in by themselves.
Okay. I thought the Kraken came in with somebody else. But anyway, one of the teams that came in either a year before the Kraken or with the Kraken, I remember seeing the Kraken have that the little, what is it, octopus monster or whatever, Loch Ness monster, whatever they call it. Highlights of that kind of on the court before the game started, or on the ice before the game started. Maybe I could be wrong. But I thought that's you can only see those on TV. Is that? Oh, so it's a TV deal. Okay, appreciate you, Victor. Thanks for time. Well, the Kraken is a sea monster, so Cleveland, you can go in more into the Kraken. I thought that was a terrible name, but if you want to talk about what the Kraken is, I know it's a sea monster, but they could have came up with some. They could have went to the Thunderbird for all I care.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the Kraken is cool, man. I mean, it's it's a fictitious, mythical, sea creature that dominates. That's what we're trying to do up here. So, made the playoffs last year, and
fictitious, mythical. See,
it's cool.
That's where you lost me when you say fictitious, mythical creature that dominates. I mean, no, that's fictional. The Seattle Thunderbirds, man, would have took it and brought back some legacy. I would have the Seattle Thunderbirds. I mean, that was legacy right there. Bring it back. Let those guys get some shine, in my opinion. But that would have been too easy for the city to revolve on it, look back on some legacy. But yeah, I thought the courts. I thought the court was pretty cool. I thought the wing jets. Come on, no, I'm not. You missed me on that one. The wing jets. I'm good, Victor. But Indy winning the skills comp, the Indianapolis Pacers. They was calling Indy for short, obviously. They win the skills competition. I thought that skills competition was kind of trash. They go through the obstacle course. Then they end the game by shooting just a half court shot. I mean, that's trash. I mean, what are we doing? Is that a skill really in the NBA, the half court shot, or is that luck in the half court shot? What do you think? I mean,
I think Steph Curry and Damian Lillard would tell you there's a skill to it.
Right. Okay. Right. Yes. Those are the two of the best shooters in the game. Yes, they would. That's for the rest of the NBA. Is that when they're launching at the end of the buzzer and they launching that half court shot? Is that 1 out of 20 that's going in? Is that 2 out of 20 that's going in? Come on. Anyway, my point is to take that out of the skills competition. It really that's not a highlighted skill in NBA. I mean, that shot going in, it to me that looked worse than the guy going up there and missing 5 dunks in a row and makes it on the 6-1. When it even takes longer. It even took those guys longer to hit a half court shot. It was 3 of them, and it was probably we saw 40 shots go up before somebody made it. It was just guys just chucking it up, heaving it up. That's That's not a skill in basketball. Take that. Just skip it. I'm sorry. I'm not rocking with you, fan. Do you think the half court shot is actually a skill in basketball? Let's answer that question because it looked horrible. The guys just running back, chucking it up, just keep chucking it up. It looked terrible to me. I think that they should, for the skills competition, they should go back to incorporating the WNBA players. I always thought it was cool how they had the local players playing against some of the fan favorites players in the skills competition. That way, if you're gonna do the Sabrina Ionescu, um, if you're gonna do the Sabrina Ionescu versus Steph, now you have more females involved in the game. So she's not the only one out there. She's the only one we saw in the uniform yesterday, right? Last night, it's Sabrina Ionescu. Now at least she has some peers out there in the game, and it's not such a moment that's the standalone moment for the weekend. You follow what I'm saying? There's you involve. I mean, you're paying the bill anyway. Involve the girls, involve the females into the involve the WNBA into the All Star Weekend. I thought that was cool how they had them rotating, and now that's an actual skill. Those are actual skills. I'm not so sure about the obstacle course where they have the bounce and pass is cool. Where they have to dribble between the cones is and then they have to race down and shoot a 3-pointer. I like that. Or they had the spot where they had you shoot the 3-pointer, the 5 spots, the 3-pointer, the spot, the elbow, elbow from the left, elbow from the right, the wing shot to have to make those shots in unison. I kind of agree with that, but take out the half court shot, bring back the women. Those would be my suggestions. What do you think about that?
Those are okay. As you were saying that, I think perhaps bring in like moving targets like they do in the NFL. You know how quarterbacks, have to throw it through the net from different yardage distances. Maybe have moving targets where they have to throw the ball through the target. From different distances. Perhaps would make it better. Maybe a bounce pass, a chest pass, but it's hard to do that in a skills competition setting. So I think they try and do the best they can. They're always trying to recreate, past All-Star game magic. So
I mean, they're looking for moments, but again, I'd say bring in the moments, include the WNBA in it. Yeah, you got Jokic and Dame winning games from the logo. Yes, you do actually, Victor. Yes. Steph can hit that logo 3. Those are 3 players out of 450 in the NBA. Okay, so do we want everybody on the team trying that logo 3-pointer to win the game? No, you don't. You probably don't want that, Victor. And if you watched it last night, that's the feeling I got, that the guys chucking up that half court shot. It was as bad as the guys missing 5 or 6 dunks in a row. It was that bad to me, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but it was that bad to me. Thanks for tuning in from Winnipeg. We got Winnipeg tuning in. Appreciate that, Victor. Thanks for your time. Dame repeats as 3-point champion. I mean, he was hitting them when he was hitting when it needed to, right?
Well, that's what he does. He's a marksman.
That's what he does. Oh, he missed 4 out of 5 on the last rack, but the last ball was for 2 points and gave him the win, right? It
was the money ball. Yeah,
it was the money ball. I mean, so that's so he's a marksman now. That's what he does.
Yeah, for his career, you've been paying attention.
Yeah. What do you think about Sabrina? I mean, Sabrina got as many points as Dame did. So Sabrina would have pushed Dame to a shoot off. Had she been in the 3-point competition. Now, I don't know if we want to go that far and say that there should be women in the 3-point competition. Like, I don't know if the guys is going to go for that. The one-off is good, but does Sabrina and Kelsey Plum and who's the girl from who's the girl from Phoenix? Do they bring the girls in and have now instead of a 6-man squad, now they have a 9-man squad, a 9-person squad with the 3 WNBA players? Do you think they go that far and invite the WNBA players to be participating in 3-point shootout? Do they go that far?
Cam, I don't know if they go that far, but I will say two things. I was in a room full of people that were like, you cannot say Steph Curry is the best shooter in the league if he loses to Sabrina, first and foremost. Okay. Secondly,
there was some pressure on Steph. There was a lot of
give
pressure.
Steph Curry all the credit in the world. Sabrina put up a real big number. And if Steph would have gone first, I'm not so sure, man. But he knew what he had to get. It was like, oh, okay. I'm not going to be embarrassed here on national television. And man, he was locked in that last rack. He knew all like, wait, what's going on here? She put up the 26 real easy, and fortunately for him, she missed those really those money balls.
Yeah.
Not
that could have been 30. That could have been. He missed his balls too. He missed his money balls too, though. But I don't think you're right. I don't think they're not inviting the women to be in a 3-point shooting contest. They're not. I don't foresee that happening. If one gets a chance next season, Caitlin Clark as a rookie in the WNBA, if she gets a chance to shoot out with somebody else, or she challenges somebody else, or yada yada yada, I do not think there's be a 9-person rotation with the WNBA players. It'd be cool if they did it, but I don't see that happening because that was a lot of pressure on Steph to step up there and get 26. Again, that was a winning number that Dame got, and Steph had to outdo that to just to save face. just to save face. So that was cool. That was cool though. Shout out to Sabrina, who she came in there cashing. And she came in there cashing in. So shout out to Sabrina for what she did. That was super dope. That was a good moment in the NBA. And that's opportunity. But I don't see the NBA players association agreeing to that one right there. Too bad there's not women who can dunk, consistently. Because that's still shout out to Jaylen Brown. He's been the first NBA All-Star in been a decade to actually participate in the dunk contest. So shout out to Jaylen Brown for that. I thought what's up, Boots? Thanks for tuning in, big dog. Shout out to Jaylen for participating in the dunk contest. Matt McClung actually repeated as champion. Matt gets up, bro. You can't say Matt is not a dunker. However, if Matt McClung is going to be able to participate in the NBA dunk contest, they should essentially, if G Leaguers are able to participate in the dunk contest, they should have a new G Leaguer every year. Somebody, 1 or 2 every year that get their chance to get some shine on the NBA All-Star weekend. Because they need to add some freshness. They need to add some fresh faces, some competition. And if kudos to Jaylen Brown again. The first NBA All-Star to participate in seems like a decade. But that's what they need. They need either the All-Stars, however they can get them to compete. He was okay. He wasn't. There's no argument that he should have won the dunk contest, is there? And from anybody in the chat, but it needs more star power, more name recognition for those guys to dunk. And if not, if this is what we got, bring a couple guys from the G League, bring a couple guys from these dunk contests around the world that they have, bring them off, and give them their shine. Because if the NBA is truly not, if the players, star players, I'm going to say, just are not going to compete, Let these other guys get some action. What's your thoughts on that, Cleveland?
Yeah, if you don't truly have to be an NBA player, yeah, get some of them and one mixtape people, and whoever else is known around the world as a a high profile dunker. That's great. Uh, couldn't be any worse than that dunk competition. It was horrible. A lot of props. I'm getting tired of seeing people jump over people. That's getting a little played out.
Matt McClung dunking over Shaq. I mean, you didn't like that?
I mean, come on, man. He certainly, propelled himself up. It was painfully obvious he was doing that. And it looked like these cats out here couldn't even palm a basketball. They were all just barely getting the ball over the rim. Somewhere Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine are
Rolling
laughing
over
about
the
this. Like, early embarrassed. Like, wow, that's the dunk champion. I mean, somewhere Vince Carter's like, wow, is that all you got to do these days and win a dunk contest? Because it looked, very pedestrian to me. It didn't look like someone that was just like, whoa, that's just amazing. Not at all.
Best.
But it takes so many times for them to complete their dunk anyway that it's, the anticipation is pretty much gone. It's like, either do it or don't do it by this point. It's not even, that awe factor after a while.
The best dunk. What was the best dunk of the night? I thought the best dunk came from Toppin, the young Toppin brother. He just didn't get to the finals, but the between the legs reverse, the reverse dunk, kind of 360-ish dunk. I thought that was the best dunk of the night. But McClung, I mean, when he had to shine, he jumped over dude, like he caught the ball and then kind of grabbed the ball and then kind of recaught it and still dunked it. I mean, the dude must have a 50-inch vertical.
Yeah, and has always had that. So it's not a surprise that he's winning the slam dunk contest again. I'm assuming that they just let him in the contest to have an opportunity to repeat as champion, because otherwise, again, where are you pulling these people from?
Yeah, because he just
find him.
He just signed a 10-day, like 8 days.
Sounds like he's just barely hanging on in the G League. So or maybe they just gave him this because they knew the dunk contest was coming up and they had to make it somewhat official. So go play for so and so, and we'll give you this jersey, and you can say you're affiliated with the NBA.
He literally signed a 10-day 8 days ago. So let's see let's just keep a close eye on that. Yeah, man. They need star power in the dunk contest. They're desperate for star power in the dunk contest. Speaking of the dunk contest, Cleveland, and just kind of reminiscing, what was the most memorable dunk contest? Was it Dr. J back in the 70s? Was it
the most memorable one for me? I'm maybe someday I will get over it. It will always be 88. Dominique against Michael Jordan. That was
Chicago. That was in Chicago.
Oh yeah, I know the politics around it. I know
you already know in Chicago.
I just remember Dominique's last dunk, and not sure I've seen 10 dunks since then better than that one. That one should have closed the door. But of course, Jordan taking off from the free throw line, and everybody was just, oh my God, I haven't seen that. And in Chicago, and 50s, I didn't feel that way about the dunk contest. I thought Dominique clearly won that one. After that, you have to fast forward to Zach against Aaron. I mean, when Aaron Gordon took the basketball off of a spinning mascot, went through his legs and then behind his head, and did not win that dunk contest. That was crazy.
You just told me you didn't like the props, though. You just
it's different when you're putting on. It's different when you're putting on.
You just said that.
No. Well, then let me clarify.
You see how we deal with the moving goalpost fans? He just said that 2 minutes ago.
Clarify my comment.
Please do. Please clarify.
I'm talking about when you put the glove on and the different jersey, and this person is laying down and this person has the back. Okay, all that's cool. A spinning mascot with the basketball spinning around in a circle 10 feet in the air, you jump up, grab the basketball, put it through your legs and behind your head. That's way different. That's you can use a prop in that example.
So
The other
wait,
one,
so the
the other
spinning
one,
mascot, on the little roller scooter, that's okay,
that's
but
okay.
Shaq holding the ball and dude
Yeah.
jumping over Shaq, grabbing the ball over Shaquille O'Neal, who we know is 7'3", over Shaquille O'Neal dunking. That's not you like
No.
the spinning mascot better.
Spinning mascot, yeah.
Why? Because he has a green fur on him, or I mean, what's the reason?
Cameron, the absolute degree of difficulty. Look at what you're doing, man. A basketball spinning around in a circle, you can jump up in the air, grab that, put it between your legs, and then behind your head in the air.
I mean, that wasn't the best dunk that day, though. That wasn't the best dunk. When Gordon jumped up and had the ball under it, he actually sat down in the air and passed the ball under his legs and then dunked it. Like I thought that was the best dunk of the day. The spinning mascot was cool. Again, no argument there. That could have been the winner. But when Gordon jumped up and went under his legs, I mean, he sat down in the air. I mean, not only he sat down for 2 or 3 seconds as he's ascending and put the ball under his legs. Like it wasn't between his legs. He went under his legs, grabbed the ball and dunked it. I mean, come on.
Amazing. that was probably the signature. That was probably the signature dunk contest. Now there have been other dunk contests where they had signature dunks. Obviously, the Vince Carter was amazing. I'll even give it up to Blake Griffin for jumping over the car when Barron threw it through the sunroof. I mean, there are dunks that kind of stick out.
He jumped over the hood of the car. Like it wasn't the.
Okay, well, you hear what I'm saying. And again, it's a little hokey with the prop. A little bit, but he did jump over a car.
I mean, the Hyundai had to get in there. They're sponsoring the event. I'm not mad at the Hyundai. I'm not. You guys are going to use one of our cars in this event.
And Barron had to throw a perfect pass. Let's be honest.
I mean, that's Barron's job is to pass the ball.
True.
But I mean,
and he nailed it.
He didn't need at that time. Griffin really didn't need problems. You could have really put in a highlight reel of of Blake Griffin's dunks, and he could have just sat down and watched it, and then everybody would have been like, "Okay, that he's a winner," because he had that many dunks that they could just literally run a highlight of his dunks, and gave him the championship just from that as well. So there's only 3 memorable contests, is what I heard from you just right now. You got MJ over Dominique, Vince Carter, and then Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. Those are the only 3. Those are the top 3 moments in NBA dunk contests.
Those are the ones that stick out. Like I say, there are some individual dunks that stick out. I remember Rex Chapman in I think was that 90. And I'm going back a little bit. I remember I was flipping back and forth between the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight and the slam dunk contest because they were on at the same time for some reason. And we were all expecting Mike to just knock Buster out, and we'll just get back to the dunk contest. And the fight just kept going on and on. That's weird. Why is this fight still going on in Tokyo? But okay. And I remember Rex Chapman came out with the first dunk, and this is the first time he had dunked. Like nobody, I mean, people had seen him at Kentucky, but didn't really think too much of him in the dunk contest. And he did the dunk where he went behind his back over his head, grabbed it, cocked it to the left, and then brought it back to the right. And they just were not expecting it. He got an incredibly low score on it, but it was like, it kind of like set the tone really, really early for the contest. And then like people are like, okay, I have to like really step my game up because this is just, somebody I never really heard of or didn't really, anticipate or expect to be a factor in this. And right off the jump, he's in here. I remember Kenny Skywalker with these windmill spin around. I was like, ooh, that's ferocious. Wasn't expecting that to come from him either. So, there are moments here and there where you kind of remember certain dunks and you're like, okay. But the dunk contest as a whole, yeah, it would have to be those three.
Yeah, J.R. Ryder, did he
The Isaiah, did the East Bay Funk dunk? That was hot at the time. For sure.
Yeah, right at the time, yeah, exactly. And then everybody was kind of trying to duplicate that same dunk. Like if you could do that one, then you could really dunk.
Yeah, that kind of established you as like a legitimate dunker if you can do that one. Yeah.
Best memory. So we got the All-Star game coming up this afternoon, this evening. Best memories or the most memorable moments in the All-Star game. From All-Star game. You want to go first? I got a couple games that stick out to me. Primarily, just I was a Tom Chambers fan, so when he actually got a chance to play in the NBA All-Star game, like I was excited to see what Tom could do, and then Tom ended up winning that one. I think that was 87. I think it was. He ended up winning that one, and so it kind of told you that they do cater to the hometown guy, right? That's what they do cater to that hometown guy. But did he earn that one, or were they just catering to the hometown hero?
Oh no, they were feeding him. They were definitely catering to the hometown hero. I was actually at that game in the Kingdome, and what I remember about that game is Rolando Blackman getting fouled at the end of the game, and he had to make three throws to send the game into overtime. And I remember I forgot who was in his ear, just trash talking him to death at the free throw line, and he stepped up and hit all three.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, that's a pro. Yeah,
that's when the game mattered.
That's when the game matters, when they were still trying. So that's a different era altogether. So it's hard to kind of equate that to what they're doing now.
So the problem is from then to now is not everybody was making $30 million a year. So that extra 25 grand, 50 grand that they were making, like that was a difference maker, right? That was a difference maker. And who put it that way? Well, they say that in the Pro Bowl. Excuse me. Years ago in the 80s and 90s, when everybody the Pro Bowl was in Hawaii, that 100 grand that the winners would get, families, that recoups the money that they had spent on their families and friends to all come to Hawaii and for that week in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think Herm Edwards alluded to that. Like that extra check was significant. And
yeah, so you wanted to win. You wanted to win, and you wanted to. You didn't want to have that bill. You wanted that bill paid for. So that's why those Pro Bowl games were serious. And I think, wherever they go in the league, and it's not as significant. But that's the difference between today and yesteryear. Is today these guys are making 20. The NBA, I haven't looked at this. I would venture to say that any person in the NBA All-Star game today makes 20 mil. That might be at the low end. I mean, Wemby's in the All-Star game. He's not making 20 mil, but on the court with endorsements and everything else, he probably is. But just his NBA salary is, I think everybody on average is between 25 and 30 mil, I would guess, would be my speculation. And so to say we're going to pay you an extra 10 grand to the winner, I mean, that's not really it's not
motivation or incentive to try harder. No.
That's not really moving the needle. And so you can't throw money at it. As Doc mentioned, you can't throw money at it. Yet the players have to want to play. And like I was saying, against I don't know where it goes from the guys in the rising stars, the first and second year guys, where that they lose that competitive spirit. I don't know where it goes, man. I don't know where it goes. I don't know where that competitive spirit goes and why these guys don't want to play and don't want to win. But yeah, that was one thing after. That was one of my most memorable moments. Again, being a Tom Chambers fan and him winning the MVP. Was it? I mean, he was doing their thing, and as you mentioned, they were competing. We know they were competing. That's not a question. But were they feeding him, or were they just looking out for the home? Was he deserving, or were they just looking out for the hometown hero? And then you mentioned it.
Yeah, he was deserving because they were feeding him. They were featuring him. He got a lot of isolations. He got a lot of spotlight on him. Where if the game was somewhere else, I don't think that he would have won the MVP.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what it was. It was a lot of that. The hometown guy. I mean, he's gonna get the easier shot. They're gonna be featuring him. Most teams most often did that. So that was again. I just put out one moment. But what was I got a few different moments. What was your most memorable moment to the NBA All-Star weekend or All-Star game itself? Excuse me.
Well, Cam, if we're staying old school, like when the All-Star game was really a thing, I think the other two games that kind of stick out to me are the game where Jordan turned sour on Isaiah, said he was freezing him out. I didn't really see it to that extent in the same way that Jordan took it, but okay.
Yeah, that
watched that game again. Like, where were you supposed to, what, you were wide open and you just didn't pass it to you? I didn't really see that part of it. So I kind of wanted to see like where the beef and the animosity started from. Didn't really see it. I guess the other game that comes to mind is when Magic came back from HIV and hadn't played, and they kind of made a special spot for him, and he took it over and shot like he's never shot before. So
what'd you say? Like he's never shot before?
Come on, man. That is like Steph Curry's jumper after that day.
The little set shot. Yeah.
Oh, no, he was dropping it from three from way out there. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Your game.
Yeah, he was ready to go. He hadn't played. You mentioned he hadn't played in a while, so he was itching to get on the court. Yeah, that was one of my moments. Magic versus Jordan, and Jordan, kind of actually squared up on him. Was like, okay, let's see what if you still got it. Yeah, that was a memorable moment in the All-Star in the annals of the All-Star game. Cleveland. I have to bring up the moment when your guy. I mean, I don't know what you're going to say about this one, but when your guy LeBron James is coming down court and Kobe slaps the floor and it's like, okay, let's go, and LeBron passes the ball, like, you tell me what was going on there. You tell me how the moment was ruined. Tell me how the moment was ruined right then.
I think at that stage in his career, LeBron was, not ready to necessarily embrace all of that. He didn't want to necessarily, you can't win in that situation, right, Cam? Because if you
can't win,
if you break down Kobe, you're hurting everybody's feelings. If you don't break down Kobe, well, then you're not who you say you are. So rather than put himself in that situation, just pass the ball. Mm-hmm.
See, fans, we don't talk about this. This is unscripted. We don't talk about that. You could tell by Cleveland's lackluster response there that this is an unscripted show, and Cleveland doesn't believe that garbage he just spewed. He just spewed on these airwaves on this Sunday morning right before the All-Star game. Cleveland, so he wasn't. Yeah, that's 5 pounds of barbecue right there. You're exactly right, MPV. He owed 5 pounds of barbecue for that garbage he just spewed.
True words.
He wasn't ready for the moment. Is that what you're telling me?
He was in a no-win scenario.
He was a 2-time champion at that moment because that was a Heat. LeBron James, right?
I believe that was a Heat LeBron James, but still, You know what I'm saying? Going up against, Kobe, if you bust him up, you're a bad guy for, beating down everybody's hero, like when Antonio Tarver,
that was his hero. What did Antonio? Did Antonio? You think Antonio Tarver that was a bad person to bring up because Antonio Tarver wanted that moment. He still can't. Antonio Tarver is still eating off of that moment that he knocked out Roy Jones Jr. And you think
right? But he's also still living on the premise that he knocked out everybody's hero. So
no, he didn't know. He wasn't where. If you ask Antonio Tarver, who's that?
When you look at the LeBron Kobe moment, okay.
What's that?
When you look at the LeBron Kobe moment, if you bust him up, then he's a villain for busting up Kobe. If he doesn't bust him up, well, then he's not an equal because he didn't bust him up. So there's no way to win there. So why not just defer?
So he's just not an equal then. It just shows that he's not an equal because he didn't bust him up.
Well, Ken, we don't know because he didn't. What
do you mean we don't know? We know exactly what happened. He didn't bust him up.
He didn't engage in the challenge.
Sad moment. That was a sad moment in LeBron's career. Would you admit that?
I won't say sad. I mean, I think it was just a business decision.
A business decision. Look at all these excuses that LeBron James is getting for not getting out there and competing. So does it business decision lead over into the rest of the guys not being competitors?
No, they're not really competing now because the All-Star game is just a celebration. It's a festivity. There's really nothing. There's really nothing to.
So LeBron James has nothing to do with this moment. That LeBron James failed moment has nothing to do with the NBA All-Star game being what it is we see today. Is this what you're telling me? Because what do you think would have happened had the roles been reversed? What do you think would have happened?
Well, Cam, I mean, if they embraced it and kind of actually took it seriously and had something to prove,
no. If Kobe was coming down court on LeBron James, what do you think would happen? Would Kobe pass up the moment? You think Kobe Bryant would have passed up that moment?
Depends. I'm not.
Depends on what? Listen to this guy. See, I got Cleveland in a hard spot right now. He's caught between LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, a rock in a hard spot right now. Who do I speak on right now? Cleveland's caught, and he doesn't want to answer. This has happened a few too often now on the Voice of the Fans podcast, where my co-host just does not want to engage in the conversation. Now, like LeBron James didn't want to engage, Cleveland still doesn't want to engage in the conversation.
I'm engaged in the conversation. I can't speak on what Kobe would or would not have done. I don't
know. So when you heard what Phil said last week when their announcers unveiled his statue. Phil Jackson said he set up a meeting with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. Kobe's first year in the league, second year in the league. It had to be his third year when Phil first started coaching him. And he said, I set up a meeting, right? Before the Lakers and the Bulls played, he set up the meeting with Michael Jordan. And he wanted Michael to give Kobe some tips on how to move in the NBA. And what was the first thing that Kobe told Michael? Yeah, I'll let you repeat it because I know you know.
I don't know. Please enlighten me.
The first thing that Kobe told Michael was, I can take you one-on-one. So when Kobe Bryant gets to meet Michael Jordan, the first thing he tells him is, before listening to anything else, is, I can take you one-on-one. And so move forward to they're matched up, LeBron James versus Kobe Bryant, and we saw the Nike puppets and all that stuff that never materialized because somebody let Dwight Howard and Orlando Magic beat them before they made the beat them out to the finals championship because Nike had already set it up. They got the puppet for 2 years. They had the Kobe Bryant, LeBron James puppet. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yes.
And do you remember Dwight Howard and Hideo Turkoglu knocking off the LeBron James led team? You remember that, right?
Yeah. So back to your original statement. Kobe knew that he could match up with Michael one-on-one his first year in the league. One of my favorite games ever. I don't know if you remember that when the Bulls played the Lakers. The Shaq, Nick Van Exel, Kobe team in his rookie season, and Kobe hit him up for 28. Yeah. So he already knew what he could do against him. You know what I'm saying?
So okay, so you're in other words, Cleveland, you don't even realize what you just did there. Kobe Bryant accepted the moment, accepted the challenge in the moment to show his dominance, right? To show his abilities, right? He accepted that moment, right? And when the time came for LeBron James to show what he could do against Kobe Bryant, he decided not to show the moment.
Well, I mean that was a regular season game adverse and all-star game showcase. I mean it's a different type of environment altogether.
I believe when Kobe for his first all-star game, he went out to show that he was the best in the league and won the all-star game. Oh, now he was granted Kobe was the only one given 112% effort.
Yeah, he didn't get the memo. He didn't get the memo. Yeah, he was up at 4:30 in the morning, taking jumpers, getting ready. Everyone else was just, walking in. So yeah, he didn't understand.
Kobe Bryant.
Other people were still wiping lipstick off their cheeks and extra shot of fire. And Kobe's out there going 100 miles an hour. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That was like the Energizer Bunny.
Damn, homie, what are you doing? Yeah.
Kobe's like, I'm here. I'm ready to go. And you still question what Kobe would have did if he had the ball coming down against LeBron James. And you still want to question that?
Yeah, we can't say 100% for sure.
Oh, I can say 100% for sure. I know what was going to happen.
We don't know for sure, Cam. It'll all just be speculation at this point.
You see, fans. Cleveland don't want to engage in the conversation. He's giving his boy LeBron a pass for passing up there. So that was my most memorable moments in this in this NBA All-Star game. Cleveland, what suggestions do you have for changes for the format? There's no more 1 quarter game in the Elam ending. I wasn't a fan of that either. Anyway, I did like the players draft though. I did like the players drafting. I thought that was pretty cool. Adam Silver spoke to it. He said it kind of made the players didn't know soon enough on what team they were going to be on, which I thought was kind of BS. But I like the players draft. What did you think of the players draft?
I thought it was cool. Pick a captain and then grab players around you that you think mold and mesh with your team as best you can. With your style of play. But of course, you have to incorporate coaching and rotation into that as well. I think the only thing that you can really do is somewhat, and this may be a little pretentious, but level a penalty if you don't win it.
A penalty if you don't win it? What?
Yeah. There's something to lose if you don't win.
I mean, you can't do it like baseball. I guess I am kind of coming around on the idea that in the Major League Baseball All-Star game, the winning team gets home field advantage. I didn't like that. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous to start with when it was announced. But it does. There is an impact, right? There is automatically an impact. You have an impact whether you win a championship or you have a championship squad or not. There is an impact to winning the All-Star game, right? And it's not no money. You can't count it in dollars, right? All these players in Major League Baseball, everybody gets $100 million contract. What do you think? Could that work in the NBA?
Well, the problem with that, Cam, is that the participation would be top heavy because the teams that had more to play for, and like, whether you got the home court advantage being in the Western or Eastern Conference, like the top four teams, like those players would be playing really, really hard. Would like the bottom four players be playing really, really hard? I mean, they wouldn't be taking it nearly as serious, so you would get more participation from the teams that were really good. But from the game as a whole, it's hard to say. Um, but fine them, not fine them, but like 200 grand in the winner, 100 grand light in the pocket to the losers.
I mean, or winner take all. I mean, the money. So, did they end that Bootzilla? I'm not sure they ended that.
They did actually in that, yeah, because it was giving them kind of. It was making like an all or nothing for the All-Star game, and that's not what the All-Star game. That's not the point of an All-Star game. The point of an All-Star game is to acknowledge the handful of elite players and kind of say this is who we think they are and have them play against each other. But there's something to be said for. It's just more of like for acknowledgement than anything else. The actual who's better or who's not better.
So it's just for fun, is what you're saying. It's just for fun. It shouldn't impact the season, is what you're all saying.
I mean, if you want the game to be more competitive, you would have to go way out of your way to make it more competitive because that's not what an all-star game is designed to be. It's not designed to be like a who's really better or not. It's interesting to kind of see, but it's not really real. So
if we win America versus the world, would that be more competition? Now, I don't think we can do that. I mean, we might have been able to get away with that 4 or 5 years ago. Today, I don't think that's a good look. If they introduce that in 2025 per se, I don't think that's a good look. NBA versus the world. I just don't think that. 4 or 5 years ago, that would have been an awesome idea. Well, what's your thoughts on
that? Why is it not a good idea now versus 5 years ago?
Just the divisiveness that's infiltrated the society.
Well, if you're talking about, I thought that you were trying to make the game more competitive. So if you're talking from more competitive,
yeah, I do want to make it more competitive. Yes,
all of a sudden you're taking Joker and Embiid and Luka and Wemby. That's okay. Like 5 years ago, there may not have been enough worldwide talent to make that a competitive game, but in 2025, 2026, especially with this influx of all these players that are supposed to be coming in from France in the next year or two, that game could have a completely different meaning. And if you get some of these other players that are not, well, I guess it depends. If you got, well, it's hard to say because there are other players that play internationally that don't play in the NBA that perhaps could contribute to that, but right now,
there's enough international players in the NBA.
But I think now there's probably enough of an international presence within the NBA to do that. All of a sudden you got Siakam and Siakam.
There
and
is.
Giannis
there is. I love the concept. I love the concept, but I just feel it would be turned into something else, and become more political than actual the on the court competition and fun. I fear that, and that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't 5 years ago. And I understand what you're making a great point. There probably wasn't that. There was not the foreign talent in the NBA 5 or 6 years ago that there is today. I certainly agree with you, but I think 5 or 6 years ago it wouldn't have been as political argument that it might be today, and that's my fear. I think it's a great concept. Because yes, you take Embiid, Joker, Wemby, Pascal Siakam, and you got this foreign. You got
Luka Doncic,
you got oh my goodness, and Giannis, and then you try to put him up with AD. Who would you put him up with against? AD, LeBron, Kevin Durant.
Well, I mean, you have the rest of the league, so I mean that side could get pretty ugly too. Pretty quickly.
That right there, that starting five would be, oh my goodness. Now you want to see, now teams are playing. I mean, again, when I say the divisiveness, maybe I should take that away because we do have the Olympics that's playing this year, right? And that's country versus country. So, I mean, it still happens, right? Countries are still competing. Could you imagine Could you imagine the competitiveness we'd see then out of LeBron, out of LeBron, AD, Steph, KD, if they had to go match up against Jokic, Embiid, well, Embiid's not playing today, but Jokic, Giannis, Siakam, Luca. Oh my goodness, would you be at your seat at your, you know, that would that not be must see TV?
Well, what even would even make that more interesting, Cam, is if you sent or how the second tier all stars would perform against those guys, because then you would get into the competition or the conversation very much like the Olympics. Like, well, okay, we didn't send our best players. That's why we lost. You know,
No, no,
everybody.
no, we couldn't get
Yeah,
into that
yeah,
competition.
yeah. We had
That
uh,
eliminates that competition.
we had Devin Booker and De'Aaron Fox out there. We should have had Lillard and LeBron.
That's
It's
coaching.
like
Yeah,
you
that's
start to
coaching
get
right
into
there.
that.
Yeah.
Starts getting into
Uh,
that conversation.
Bro, that would be, oh my goodness, just talking about that. That got me all excited and tingly right now, thinking about AD versus Jokic, Siakam versus LeBron. Today we're talking about Giannis versus uh, uh, whomever, Luca versus Steph, Kyrie, whoever you want to say, KD. Oh my goodness, could you imagine that squad? Could you? Oh my goodness, that
Interesting
competition would
game.
be. That
Jamal Murray on that other side too. Now you got to throw Jamal
Oh my
Murray.
again. You would
Andrew Wiggins adding a little depth.
Shea Gildress Alexander it'd be over there too.
Hey,
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! These
yeah.
boys would have to step up. They'd have to step up. This American squad would have to step up and compete because they're going to get
Not a
ran out of the gym.
walkover. It's not a walkover by any means. Go Bears, hold them down the middle.
Ooh, you suppose some of you guys will want Karl Anthony Towns on that squad too, right? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Gets a little bit more interesting when you kind of dissect it for real. Like, oh,
guys, that's what we need to start petitioning the league for. Is that USA versus the world? That would be crazy. That would be crazy. So it is what it is today, and tonight we get to see the NBA All Star, the best athletes in the world, get down and do their thing. Hopefully, we can get a competitive matchup out of it. But with them feeding the hometown hero, do you think Halliburton has a chance to win the MVP? Do you think Wemby has a chance to surprise the league and they see what the Wemby could do against the best talent in the world? Or who do you think is the leading candidate for most valuable player in the NBA contest of 2024?
I think both of those are very doable. Like we've said in years past, they have kind of tended to feature the hometown player. So if he gets on a roll early and keeps it going, they're going to continue to go to him. Victor is going to get a chance to play in a game that's not nearly as structured as what NBA games are, and they don't play any defense. So you get a chance to see what 7-6 really looks like, doing some of the amazing things that he's capable of doing that, in a regular game, they just don't let you do. In an all-star game, it'll just be wide open. So, he may be catching lobs from the free throw line. You can't really say.
Yeah, you can't manufacture competitiveness. That's we get that. But I mean, what's your thoughts on USA versus the world, SB? Yeah, Halliburton, like we talked about earlier, them feeding the hometown hero. Halliburton has a chance to win if he plays a considerable number of minutes today. Wemby, I mean, if they're just running up and down the court with no competitiveness,
Which is what they
Wemby,
do in all-star games. So yeah,
yeah,
they're just looking for the alley oop as soon as the ball crosses half court. So
yeah, we do. We're gonna see a bunch of Wemby alley oops and dunks. I mean, that's gonna be bananas. Um, real quick off the topic, I didn't have this on the script today, but Jamal Crawford, he's part of the TNT crew on Tuesdays, and similar to that's what you think of NBA versus world, huh? I disagree with that one. But similar to Shaq and a Fool, Jamal Crawford does the crossover, and he takes a crossover move. I don't know. Have you seen that segment?
I
Takes
have
the
not,
cross.
I have not seen that. Please enlighten me.
He takes the crossover move. They pick a winner for the week, a few plays, and then they take a crossover move, and then they move the crossover champion moves on to the next week, which is a concept I like. They had Wimby, who did the Sham God on Rudy Gobert, crossed him up, did the Sham God on Rudy Gobert. On one side of he crossed him up on the left side of the court, did the Sham God, and ended up laying it in on the right side of the court. Like, Gobert's long anyway. Wimby with his length, he laid it in. It was pretty incredible. But then they match him up against somebody else who the next week who has a crossover move, and they say, okay, now who's the champion? Which is pretty dope. The only thing I add to that that I'd add to that segment, Jamal, is how many weeks, like Wimby, he made, I think from what I've seen, and I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, he at least went 3 weeks being the crossover champion. I don't know how long it was officially, but I saw it at least 3 weeks he was the crossover champion. And it wasn't until KD crossed over dude from Charlotte, and then he went in, crossed him over, and went for the dunk. Then he gave it to KD, but KD was just beat him out for the 1 week. So the only addition I'd add to that, which is a pretty cool segment, is how many weeks was he like the top 40 list? How many weeks were you number one, right? I'd ask how many weeks was you the top? So for 3 weeks running, Wimby had the number one crossover move in the NBA. Like, somebody who's going to beat that, and who then once they beat that, now how long will he be able to sustain the number one crossover position? That would be cool. That's a cool segment that Jamal Crossover has on Tuesday nights on TNT, which is pretty dope, man. But we're gonna get out of here, Cleveland. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank all the fans for their participation today. Again, the Voice of the Fans Sunday special. You can find us on most Sundays, just giving you guys some fresh content, discussing what happened midway through the weekend. And again, today is the All-Star weekend. No, thank you, man. Give yourself a round of applause. Again, tell a friend to tell a friend about the Voice of the Fans podcast. We're doing this content for you guys. Hit us up. Check out our articles on voiceofthefans.org, voiceofthefans.org. You get some in-depth articles that Cleveland and myself, the content we put out there for you guys. So check us out there. And then you can check out the show on most podcast streaming platforms. Also, you can check us out if you're not watching us on HMB Media TV. Shout out to those guys at HMB Media TV for what they're doing. And we are also on Voice of the Fans on YouTube. You can find out our show or watch our show during the week there. So catch us there as well. Fans, I want to thank you guys again. Give yourselves a round of applause for being a part of the show. And as always, fan, thank you for making our voice your choice.